Hello and good afternoon, everybody. You almost got like a drama episode today. There's a lot of it going on around, and a lot of it involve like people I'm friendly with and people I dislike going at each other. So I didn't want to opinionate on it, but I'm not directly involved. So I say, you know what? And those people they don't need me to defend them. So I say I'm just gonna abstain. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about backstory, motivation, and goal. Because, like I said in the description, everybody that got like a gaming channel or RPG channel has to talk about those things. Hello, crafting gamer. How you doing? Dubong, yeah, I'm first, but I don't count. It's my own stream. So crafting gamer would be first there. So you win. You win for the day. So backstory. That's a touchy topic because people say, "Oh, you don't need the backstory. You don't come up to the table with 30-page backstory," and I absolutely agree. Backstory, I think you need one because your character didn't sprout out of nowhere, but it should be short, and your backstory is ordinary life. Nothing extraordinary happened in your backstory because the special thing, the extraordinary thing, are gonna happen in play. I think that like like you can be like doesn't always have to be like, oh, I was a peasant boy and stuff like that. Like pick up a stick for the first time. You could have been like did a campaign, went to war, stuff like that. But it's stuff that many people went through in depending on the setting, depending on the you know maybe like if you were like playing a modern game and you did a tour or two in Iraq, that can be a backstory. But it's not something that is exceptional in a way because like thousands of people went through that. It's part of normal life. If you're in a medieval game and you went to on a campaign for some lord, either as a noble or as a peasant, or if you were a noble and you got trained because you're the son of a knight, that's your backstory. That's fine. But you didn't fight a dragon, you didn't see a demon, you didn't see a monster, or maybe if you did, you didn't like defeat. Maybe like you just have like a sighting. Maybe like you saw Bigfoot. Okay, that can be in your backstory, I guess. Maybe people don't believe you. Maybe it's something you believe you did. Maybe it does influence your character, but you didn't capture Bigfoot. I think people wants to make long backstory. I think long backstory came with bad GMing. GM game master that want to railroad a lot because you create this character and then the GM is gonna tell a story. They got a story pre-planned and it's gonna tell us his story with your character. So people like write up those long backstory because it's kind of a your shot of telling a story with your character. But if the GM treat the players as a co-creator in the story because like the story is emergent through play, you're not being taken on a railroad, then you don't need to create a story before play because you're gonna do it as you play. So that's about what I have to say with backstory. Keep them short, keep them simple, and keep them mundane, very mundane. Motivation, that's the reason why you are in the dungeon. What push you to go on an adventure? Adventuring is a tough thing, it's a dangerous thing, and it probably kind of suck. You go into those dark and damp place full of monster, or you go into the unknown, stuff like that. And it's not something that normal people would do. So why is your character doing it? And it can be like for survival. Maybe you have no choice. Maybe you're thrust into it because you're in the wrong time at the wrong place. It can be for extreme poverty. Maybe kind of run out of option. Now you need to go in the dungeon because you already was gold there, and like your farm fail. That could be in the backstory. You are a farmer, a farm boy, and there's a drought. You can grow nothing anymore. Whatever. Now you say, okay, I'm desperate. I'm gonna go in this dungeon, try to make something out of myself. It can be for religious zeal. If we think about people like that went in the new world, like the conquistador, the explorer, and stuff like that, that went to the unknown. That's something that we could relate to going to a dungeon. Hey, good day, DM Johnny. And a lot of them went there to plunder. Some of them went there for fame. So those are other like motivation that don't need that much explanation. You go on an adventure because you want to get rich. You go on an adventure because you want to glory and you want to get famous. But some of them joined the adventure because they wanted to convert people. They wanted to bring their faith to the new world, or they wanted to support people going on adventure. That can be something as well. So religious zeal is something to consider. So we have like survival, extreme poverty, religious zeal, money, glory, fame, could be love, and that's something you can work in with your GM, because oftentimes you need something to start the campaign, basically a first adventure. Maybe one of the character in the party is going to rescue somebody he knows. Maybe some of the party are there for the money, but one of the guys is just there for personal reason. It could be for hatred, and we can see that, for example, with Goblin Slayer. He just got a deep hatred of goblins, and that's what you want to do. You want to kill goblins. You could have something like that. It could be for challenge. That's something we often see in story. Somebody looking for a strong opponent. So he's going on a quest in the world because, or you want to get better. And he knows that he can only get better by getting challenged. Or you could have a character with a death wish. Maybe something happened. Maybe a character lost all his loved one in a tragedy, and he got no reason to live anymore. He doesn't want to kill himself, maybe for religious reasons and stuff like that, but he's going to try to put himself in situations that are dangerous out of because he's kind of hoping for death in a way. That can be an interesting character to play as well, especially if you have like a reason. And we can see that also with in Warhammer Fantasy. You have that with the Slayer character. It's the whole like a whole class that is based on that. The Slayer is a class of a character class for dwarves who, I forgot the detail exactly, but they did something, and now they're kind of like cursed to go fight until they die in battle. But that can be an interesting approach, and you can even do that with like some kind of Viking characters that is desperate to die in battle because he want to join Valhalla. Maybe he's older, he failed to die in, like he went through many conflict. You can have it's not only have to be like, oh, I go in the dungeon because like I need the money. You can find other reason for it, and you should. And the motivation that your character has should come from the backstory. Like I said, maybe you're extreme poverty. Why are you in extreme poverty? Did your farm burn down? Or you going to rescue somebody? Okay, who is that somebody? Or you hate, why do you hate the goblins so much? Why do you have this death wish? Why are you so desperate for fame? That's something that you can explore as well. One thing that is good also is to am I sounding all right? Can you hear me well? One thing that you can have also is that I think is important is trying to have different motivation for the party. Like I said, with the example of the conquistador, some of them went for money, some of them went for glory, some of them went for religious zeal. Oh, thank you, backlog game. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I was just uncertain. And having different motivation in the party, I think, is a good thing, because then you can create like great role play situation when they get to kind of push one another. And you want a motivation that will allow justify your character for going on an adventure. You don't want to, people oftentimes talk about like player buy-in. You say, oh, that's the adventure that the GM has planned. Then find a reason to go on. Like, don't be a dick. And I say, well, first the GM should know the motivation, what motivates a character, and it should incorporate that too, because like you don't want like, oh, the characters goes on the adventure because the player know that's what the GM planned. That's a bad reason to do it. But the GM should know the motivation, what motivates the different member of the party, and should try to find a reason, use that as a lever to push the characters on the adventure. And if you have different motivation for different party member, especially if you have like adventure for a while and the party member know each other and they're working together, then you can use like, maybe you can motivate one or two of the character, and they're gonna motivate the rest of the party, because like, oh, you know what, I need your help, you're my buddy, I've helped you on that adventure, now it's time for you to help me on that. So having different motivation can open up more door. If all the party members are there for money, well, then the campaign is going to get samey, because it's always going to be about profit. It's always going to be, oh, how much are we going to be getting paid? Okay, that's enough money. That's worth the risk. So I think having like different motivation is something you can work together as a party, as a group for your party. And so yeah, the GMs should consider motivation of the PCs, and the PCs also can push each other. Think about this scene in Star Wars, for example, when they're capturing the Death Star, and Luke figure out that Princess Leia is prisoner there. Anne doesn't want to go rescue the princess. He was just there for transport, until Luke remind her that she's probably rich. Luke is motivated by, I guess he's kind of like a noble character. You want to do the right thing, or you want to be famous. He got those dream of heroism. You can see that it's shown when he, in a way, when he play with because you want to go on an adventure, you want to become a pilot, you want to leave the farm. He's playing with those toys at first when he's like flying around. He's looking in the distance at the sun. You can see he's dreaming of something bigger. You want to be a hero in some way, or he hopes that there's more to life than just being a moisture farmer. So I guess he would be a character that would be motivated by, in a way, fame, or just like the Rock, all of adventure. That can be one as well. Maybe you want to challenge himself, and he's in for the money. So Luke knows that, one character to another, and use that to motivate his other party member. Next thing you want to have for your characters, you want them to have goals or dreams. What a character aspire to. And that should be linked to the motivation, should be linked to the backstory. If the guy was a farm boy, lost his farm to a drought or a fire, maybe he just go to adventure to get some money so he can build a new estate. That can be a first motivation there. Maybe somebody is a poor city boy and want to create a place for himself in the nobility. That's another dream. Some people dream very big, like a Griffith in Berserk, that literally want to have his own kingdom. And you could have like the dream should like mirror the motivation at some point. And there's a point where where a dreams or a goal of a character could be achievable, is within reach. Then at this point you have to consider yourself: does the character retire? Maybe his story is complete. Maybe he did what he wanted to do. And now if you got like no other motivation or no other goal, because those things can evolve, you can have a, because the character is going to be changed by the adventuring. He's learning more about the world, he's developing himself. So now maybe at some point you maybe the small dream he had is not enough for him anymore. Now he dreams of something bigger, so you can keep him adventuring like that. But maybe that didn't happen, and maybe maybe it's right for this character to say, you know what, I'm done. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I'm gonna have a peaceful life now. And you retire the character, and that is story complete, and that's all right. And you could bring him back later, like if you fast forward a couple of years, he grew up, he grew old a bit, and now realize that, you know what, I achieved my dream, but I'm not satisfied with that. I'm not more happy. I miss the excitement of adventuring. I'm gonna get back with the crew. That can be an interesting twist in adventure as well. Goals and dreams are not mandatory. You could have a character that doesn't have any goals or dream, but that types the character quite a bit. That means the character that's hopeless, that is that fell into despair for some reason. That goes well with the character that got a death wish, stuff like that. That's a character that doesn't live for tomorrow, just live in the moment. He's just going out there. He's trying to get the bag, and he even like I love the character that they're gonna make a big score, get some money, spend it all. You know, they just live for the moment. You can have that. That's a valid way to do it. But it's a type of character already. If you don't want to always play the same character, try to have some goals and dreams sometime. So yeah, goals and motivation can evolve. A change in a goal of motivation or the change of a dream of a character should be justified by what happened in the game. It's not like you don't change it just because you as a player don't feel like playing this character anymore. So no, he's not dreaming of a peaceful life anymore. Now you want to be a big hero. Like, why? I think that's an important. If you just want to do like the game stuff and you don't care about that, but if you want to be in your character mindset, if you want to role play a character, consider that. Consider like having a reason for, because it's normal that our goal and it's normal that our goals and our dreams change, but it always comes from somewhere. It's not random. You just don't roll on a table for it. And yeah, I mentioned that before as well. When the party bound together, if you start the campaign, if you start a campaign and all the party members are stranger to one another, they're gonna be motivated each for their own reason. Once they went through some hardship together, that's quite the bonding experience. And at some point, they're gonna be motivated just from helping each other. There's a dog has something to say there. So there's something to consider as well. And we can see that, like the example of Star Wars works well in there as well, because at the end of the first movie, Han got his money, he achieved his goal, he's leaving, but he comes back because now his motivation changed. Now he bonded with those guys, and now he want to now his motivation in a way is love. It's just like because Luke became a friend, and he doesn't want to see him get harmed. There's a lot of bonding happening in through hardship. So there's something to consider as well. And one last thing I want to mention: backstory can be deepened through play as well. When you create a backstory for your character, make it rather simple. You got like the big line, stuff like that. Like your backstory should fit in a. Your backstory should fit in a. Sorry for that. Give me a second. I got a delivery just during stream. Sorry for that, guys. Backstory. They lost my train of thought now. Yeah, start simple. You can expand on them to play. The first when you start a character, you should like fit in the tweet, maybe just like a few line, maybe 3 sentences. Don't go too crazy. When you're into roleplay session, that's when you can expand on that. Like when the characters talk among each other. That's the interesting time to do it. But you won't add anything extraordinary, because if there was something special and extraordinary, we'd already know about it. And if there was something extraordinary, that should have been played. Should have been part of the part you play with your character. So I guess that's what I wanted to talk about today. I think I pretty went on this subject. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm sorry for the dog going crazy there at the end. So yeah, backstory, keep them short, keep them mundane. Motivation can evolve, can be more than just poverty, but you gotta have the reason for your character to for the characters to go on the adventure. And dreams and goals, they're gonna evolve. They should be linked to your motivation. And there's a point where your character can just decide to retire. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a concluded story. And I guess that's what we saw with Anne as well. Like, he decided to retire at the end of the first movie. He quickly turned around and came back. But that's something that can happen with your character because he found his other motivation. So thank you for joining. That's about all I had to say. I always got fewer people on Friday. I guess people go out to lunch. I guess that's what I used to do as well. Tomorrow I'm gonna have on RPG Design Talk at 1500 EDT, so that's 3 p.m. Eastern for American. I'm gonna receive Paddy O'Cake to talk about from Paddy's Power game. We see him often in chat, and he got his own stream on Rumble. And he did put some games out, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his creative process, how he goes through getting an idea to having a product out. So don't join us then. So it's going to be tomorrow, Saturday, at 1500 EDT, 3 p.m. Eastern Time from American, with Paddy O'Cake. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the people that joined me live. Thank you for people that watch later on. Have a good day and take care.